in the NBA playoffs. I hate that Moda Center is now going to be dormant, other than maybe some concerts and maybe Disney on Ice. I'm not sure what's coming up. But I hate the fact that the Blazers aren't part of the postseason. But there is one silver lining to this Blazer cloud, which is you get to watch games without an emotional investment. And I'm watching Philadelphia and New York last night, and I don't have a dog in the fight at all. And I'm just like, boy, that was really fun to watch. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough for the Nuggets and the Lakers to top what I just saw at Madison Square Garden. Seeing Stephen A. Smith sitting courtside. I think he was sitting next to John McEnroe. Ben Stiller. I saw Ben Stiller he was sitting courtside as well. Spike Lee. All the celebrities. Did Maxey have control of the ball? Did he call a timeout? Is this the playoffs where you got to be just a little bit tougher? You got to just be a little bit more assertive. And by the way, I like the fact that seemingly in the first two games of all of these series in the first round of the playoffs, the officials have just been like, yeah, we're going to let the boys play. Ticky-tack fouls that you get on February 3rd are not going to be called in the postseason. Now, LeBron James not happy about the officials. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the big show. He says, why the bleep do we even have a replay? You also had a clean look for a go-ahead three that you missed. And then Jamal Murray ripped your guys' heart out. So you had the controversy-ish at the end of the Knicks 76ers. Then you had the end of Lakers and Nuggets. The Nuggets now have a 2-0 lead. Are the Lakers cooked? What did Jamal Murray with a buzzer-beating shot at the end of game 2 after coming back from down 20 with Nikola Jokic and company? What was Jokic's line last night, Brenden?
27, 20, and 10. Then throw in a couple steals, too.
27 and 20. I mean, the 10 assists, obviously, that's impressive for a center, especially a guy that doesn't jump. But
I still don't know how he does it. They need to do a Mythbusters on it, dude.
that we do need a Mythbusters.
On how Jokic is this good at
Adam,
basketball.
Where's Jamie and Adam at? Where are those two guys? By the way, talk about we need to do a Mythbusters on what happened to the Mythbusters. Maybe we'll do that one. Whatever happened to Jamie and Adam? Did they have like a Florida Georgia line breakup where maybe the
Yeah, they're actually not too close.
They're not too close.
Quick Google says we've known each other for 25 years and never once sat down to dinner together.
I could see that. I could see that. Where it's
sometimes you got work friends.
That's your work person. You go in, you do the show. Hey, see you around. But yeah, Mythbusters.
That is kind of you and I in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, we every single day we sit and we talk to each other more than most married couples probably talk to one another. We have nothing else to talk about at 9:01 a.m. So it's like, have a good one. Go about your business. I shall go about mine. I will talk to you tomorrow morning. But the Mythbusters, man, that was
it was a great show.
Great show.
Very educational.
Just did the internet ruin the Mythbusters? Because here's why. Early stage of the internet where you still had to Google search stuff, and there was I shouldn't say internet didn't. Social media kind of ruined the Mythbusters. Because will you Google, as we're going to talk about the internet, when did Mythbusters start? I feel like it was 2000, 2001.
Yeah, its run was 03 to 16.
03.
Then they brought it back briefly for 17 to 18, and that was it.
So in 2003, you could still, because we didn't have phones in our lives, or if you did have a phone, it was a Nokia phone, but you didn't have Google on your person at all times. So the Mythbusters actually provided a service for us all because we had all heard the myth of hey, did you hear about the guy who was roofing and had a piece of plywood and then a gust of wind blew him half a mile, and they're like, well, let's myth bust it. And they're like, yeah, that never happened. It's not true at all. And then all of a sudden social media came around and was like, we don't need these. We don't need these science nerds telling us. We just Google it. Anyways, Mythbusters is a great show.
I totally remember watching that show just endlessly.
That was a perfect, you were too young. I was right in my degenerate prime where it's like Sunday morning. I got a little bit of a headache, if you know what I mean. And it's like, I have nothing to do. I want to lay on this couch. It's like, 5 hours of Mythbusters? Yeah, I'm going to watch that. Mythbusters was that show. Dog the Bounty Hunter. I used to sit and watch Dog the Bounty Hunter for hours upon hours upon hours on Sundays, being a bit hungover. And the other one, Crocodile Hunter. Dude, I watched R.I.P. Steve Irwin. I watched Crocodile Hunter, so many hours of Crocodile Hunter. Sunday on the couch, just being like, get up, go get some Taco Bell, get a big, giant 2-liter of Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to sit on this couch in my sweatpants, and I'm going to watch Mythbusters for like the next 4 hours. Wonder how I got fat. You know? Mythbuster on that was easy. It was like, Justin, I think maybe the problem is you went and got Taco Bell, but instead of getting their large soda, you then also went to the Dairy Mart and got a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper. Instead of just getting, I was like, man, might be a problem. Adam, get out of my business. I think I interviewed Adam one time on my morning show in Eugene. I interviewed Adam one time.
Cool. Wow.
I'll tell you what the best part about that was, and you have known this as a little inside baseball. Brenden knows this as a producer on a morning show. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to get guests up early. Now, imagine doing it. I wasn't doing sports in the morning. I was doing a normal, goofball morning show. So trying to get comedians and musicians to be on your morning show, very difficult. Adam from Mythbusters, up and Adam, 7:30. Why? Because he's a scientist. He probably was in bed at 9:30. All right. So we got NBA to talk about. Obviously, Pounce is going to be joining us in the third hour live in studio, and we're going to obviously go over all of what happened last night and another overview of what's going on in round one of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. So that's going to be coming up. Also, as we mentioned in the update, so Zach Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round pick. And in the pre-show meeting, that sparked a conversation. The Broncos are picking 12. I think or 12 or 16. Probably should know it because the draft is coming up.
12.
They're picking 12. I have seen multiple mock drafts having Bo Nix being picked by the Broncos at 12. Brenden feels that's a reach. I am too emotional because I love Bo Nix.
It's close. I'll say this. It's a little bit for me, but it's not like, I would, be horribly upset. It's close.
Is our evaluation of Nix and Penix skewed because this is such a quarterback-heavy draft?
Could be.
Because
I'll be open. Sure, could be.
And I don't want to compare to Kenny Pickett, but, like, if Kenny Pickett was in this draft, I don't think there's any way, shape, or form he's a first-rounder. But Kenny
totally.
Pickett was in a quarterback-light draft. Whereas, like, I think it was Malik Willis was the other quarterback.
Kenny was the first quarterback taken. So
20th, I think.
Yeah, that was a thin one.
And so I wonder if Nix and Penix, which A, recency bias, B, eyeball bias, which is a real thing because I watched both of them play, and C, West Coast bias. I don't know how, other than there's just a lot of quarterbacks at top heavy in this draft, why those two dudes are not first rounders. And I saw Adam Schefter was on ESPN yesterday. Adam Schefter said the Penix injury thing's not really a concern. And Adam Schefter believes that both Bo Nix and Michael Penix, along with Daniels, Williams, May, McCarthy, that there's going to be 6 first-round picks with quarterbacks. And is that because the quarterbacks are so good in this draft, Or is that because there is clearly a formula, which is if you don't have Patrick Mahomes or you don't have Joe Burrow or you don't have Josh Allen, if you don't have one of those guys, the path to the postseason is draft a C.J. Stroud, get lucky with Brock Purdy, right? Get a quarterback on a rookie deal and still be able to pay the weapons around them. And so I wonder if there's going to be a lot of teams going like, all right, well, we got to find some quarterbacks. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of, I don't want to say overdrafting, but we are going to be in an era over the next 2 or 3 years in the draft where quarterbacks are going to go over and over and over again. All right, fantastic night in the NBA last night. LeBron's complaining about officials. Are the Lakers cooked? Are the Sixers cooked? Or is just game 2? Talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. It was an electric night in the NBA last night. First up, Cavs get the win. May dive into that a little bit during Round Ball Rock, but you had a fantastic finish there in New York. Embiid says they're the better team. Says we should be 2-0. We're going to win the series. We're the better team. Embiid does not look healthy. It does not look sitting at 100%. I think Jason Williams just on ESPN, he threw out a hot take that Embiid should be out for his long-term career health. If they lose Game 3 and they're down 3-0, I don't think we see Embiid anymore in the series. But regardless, you got the New York Knicks. They found some magic. Controversy at the end of the game as Knicks hit a 3. I think that put them down 2. Scrum, Maxi's on the floor. He says he called timeout. It's mayhem in the Garden. It's a scrum. Ball then pops loose. Pass. Boom. Ball goes up. Bang. 3-pointer. Now Knicks are up 1. Get a huge block by Isaiah Hartenstein, who's do we count? We've talked about this before. Is he a 5'4" guy?
Yeah.
Do we count him as a 5'4" guy? He was born in Eugene. He was born, I believe, at Sacred Heart Hospital. He's a 5'4" guy. Grew up in Germany though, but Isaiah Hartenstein gets the block. Knicks hit some free throws. Embiid got a look. Doesn't fall. They go down by 3. But the controversy was, did they get the timeout? And we're going to talk about this a little bit because LeBron and the Lakers are also complaining about the officiating as well. As a fan, as a consumer, I like the fact that the officials let the game play out in the playoffs. I like it. It entertains me. I could imagine if I am a player, it's got to be incredibly frustrating. Everybody knows that playoff intensity, playoff energy is different, but I think it's fair to say in the NFL, more often than not, a holding call in week 2 is the same as a holding call in the NFC Championship game. Now, maybe the end of the game, maybe fourth quarter, because I know like some NFL officials have said, look, especially in the Super Bowl or NFC and AFC championships, we're fishing for whales. We're not fishing for minnows, right? They're not going to call the ticky-tack stuff, but you usually don't see that either in fourth quarter of week 2. Whereas in the NBA, stars get star treatment. Stars get the benefit of the doubt with regard to calls. And they have kind of eliminated an awful lot of physical play in the regular season, but then it pops up in the postseason, and there has been a clear directive, for whether it is from the top of the NBA with Adam Silver or the director of officiating, which I'm sure who serves under Adam Silver, but there's been a clear directive in the games that I have watched. Let the boys play. Now, I don't know if it's more this year or if we've just noticed it more, but it seems to be a clear directive from the officiating that, we're going to let the guys get a little bit physical. And because in my opinion, the players should determine the outcome, not the officials. LeBron's not happy about that. Never mind that, by the way, that the Lakers are 0-10 in the last 10 games against the Nuggets. And, by the way, have had massive free throw discrepancy that is going their way because they are getting the majority of the calls in not only this series, but in the last 10 games that they've played and still have not come out on top. Yes, Brenden.
And to your point, Justin, I really do think that at this point, it's a little like when you let an FCS team hang around with you when you're a FBS team, in the sense of like, now it's almost mental for the Lakers, where it's like, maybe, like you said, going home, we'll see what happens in game 3. Yeah. But, like, just now you're going to hear, because they're probably got, 2-3 days off? You're going to hear for 2 or 3 days, can't beat the Nuggets.
Can't beat the Nuggets.
And
swept.
And when you
swept in the regular season.
Yeah.
We're looking down the barrel of another sweep.
And you know this. I mean, LeBron, his greatness is obviously, well documented. But, like, even still, like, beyond, like, LeBron and AD, you still need other guys on that Lakers roster to not get tense when the game's on the line and think, oh, we're going to lose number 11. We're going to lose number 12. So I really do think, Justin, more than people say, like that streak is kind of like a real mental hurdle.
It was really fun last night. I was very happy that I made the decision to stay up. I was watching that game, and I was like borderline. I'm like, do I go to bed? I'm like,
It was second screen. I was watching TV, and I turned it back on.
They're single digits. It's a 5-point game. No, definitely watching the end of this game. And tie ball game. LeBron gets a clean look for 3. Doesn't go down. Then Nuggets have control. Who's the ball going to go to? Is it going to be Jokic? Is it going to be Michael Porter Jr., who hit a gigantic 3, by the way, in part of the comeback? Now, Jamal Murray took the ball in his hands. This is how it sounded last night on TNT. Here's Jamal Murray with the game on the line.
Denver with the timeout. We are tied. I love it. Don't call it. Tie ball game. Worst can happen. We go to overtime. Murray.
There you go. That's how it sounded on TNT last night. Now, okay, dumb basketball question. Because I don't know if this is an actual real thing or, but on the radio broadcast for the Nuggets, they were talking about how you got a foul here. It was a tie ball game. Jamal Murray had the ball, and they thought that the Lakers were going to foul. Is that a thing now? Fouling tied? Because I got into a rabbit hole of like, why didn't the Lakers foul? And I was like, it was a tie ball game. Why would you foul in a tie ball game? You get a stop, you go to overtime, you win the game. And then some said, well, the analytics are if you foul, then you put them on the free throw line. Even if he makes 2, you get the final attack. But I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. To voluntarily give up a tie, to voluntarily especially on the road, with that crowd, with that environment, this is why the numbers people drive me nuts. This is why the analytics people drive me absolutely bonkers. Now, the analytics people are probably sitting there on their calculators, probably going like, well, you see, if they would have fouled, they would have had the final attack. And what would you rather have? Would you rather have the Lakers playing defense with no chance at winning the game, or would you rather have the ball in LeBron James's hand, down 2 with the game on the line, or maybe even down 1 if he misses a free throw? But again, if ifs and ands or pots and pans, we'd have a lot of fun in the kitchen. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a fair.
Get a
I
stop.
actually was unaware of that being a strategy. When it's laid out like that.
Last night, or this morning, I should say, was the first I've seen of it.
Yeah. When it's laid out like that, I could see that, because again, would you rather, like to that point, would you rather have it be in Jamal Murray's hands or LeBron James's hands to close the game? So that part I do get, but at the same time,
I would rather be tied than down.
Yeah, but see, there's like in this scenario, they're like, you still have a chance, kind of like NFL overtime, right? Before they redid the rules, where it's like the letter of the law, they didn't have a chance. They were waiting for Murray to run down the clock, and that was it. Now, I do think you get a little too cute for your own good when you start to mess around with stuff like that. Kind of like, losing to get bigger percentages and the ping pong ball.
Yeah,
like,
anytime you get cute, yeah.
So I think when you try to get too cute, the universe, Justin, can go, it's kind of like, what do you say?
But it's like you had the matchup you wanted as the Lakers, right? They switched it off. Anthony Davis, who is 7'1", with a wingspan of about 7'4", who is a multiple-time all-defensive player in the NBA. You got Anthony Davis stepping out in perfect defensive position. Jamal Murray just got a bucket. It happens. I don't know. I saw that and I was confused, because I thought, like, did I see something wrong? Like, no, it was a tie ball game. Why on earth would you ever foul? But I guess that's a number strategy. Now let's get to the bigger question. Are the Lakers cooked? Is this it? Because when you start talking about the Lakers and the postseason, there are bigger fish to fry, right? If this was just a normal series we would be having this discussion of like, can the Lakers mentally get over the hurdle of, the momentum? Now, I do think that is one of, speaking of Mythbusters, right? If we could bring Jamie and Adam back into the conversation, I do believe that the idea of momentum in an NBA series is a total myth. I do not believe in momentum from game to game. From quarter to quarter, yeah. You can feel it in the building. You saw it last night in Denver. What was it? Was 20 the biggest deficit they had?
Or it was 20.
So they're down 20, and boy, it was a slow grind. This was not like, hey, they're down 20, 17-3 run. No, it was a slow grind back and forth, and the Lakers looked like they had it, and then the Nuggets wouldn't go away. And like they said in rounders, right, keep hanging around, and the Lakers let one get away. But I don't know if I'm buying into the momentum and can the Lakers get over the mental hurdle. But, Brenden, I do think you brought up a good point, which is 10 in a row. You had them. Fascinating to see what happens in Game 3, because here's why the Lakers story is really fascinating. Can I say fascinating one more time? It's true. If the Nuggets beat the Lakers, and let's just say it's a gentleman's sweep, is LeBron done in L.A.? Does he decide that maybe is Anthony Davis? I don't know what his contract situation is.
So
but is Anthony Davis done in L.A.? Do the Lakers, because the Lakers have had a history of like, we do not give a bleep about contract situations, right? They let Shaq go in his prime.
Yeah, do you think they'll tank? Yeah, I don't think that's.
They're not going to tank, but like, what I mean? They let Shaq go in his prime. They are not afraid to make a big swing and move. But if they lose this series, which they're down 2-0, had one in their grasps last night, is the LeBron Lakers thing over?
Depends on what happens with Bronny, I think, because I look at their roster. Anthony Davis under contract for many more seasons, but LeBron has player option after this. LeBron's all the things that annoy me about LeBron. One of the things I will always tip the cap respect. He set up his contract perfectly. I have options. I don't request a trade. I just leave. I go wherever I want to. He's essentially set it up to where he is. Since he went back to Cleveland, right? He has essentially had one-year deals. He signed like a 3 with the Lakers after they won the championship, but that's already up.
But it's a player option after 2 or something.
Yeah. There's usually it's a quick out for him, but I think Bronny's going to, we don't know. Is Bronny going to go back to college? Is he going to go back to USC? Is he going to be in the portal? Is he going to declare anyway? Because if he declares anyway, Justin, I do think there's a great chance LeBron's like, I've accomplished what I want to accomplish. The last thing that I really want to do is play with my son. I'm out, L.A.
Now, I might have egg on my face because I think the Lakers can get back into the series. They got 2 games at home, right? Until a road team wins, we still got a series. There's still a chance. But if the Lakers lose, here's the other side of this. Because there's not what is good for winning is always good for business. Does that make sense? I don't think the Lakers will tank, but I think the Lakers, being in L.A., being a storied franchise, they've always got options.
Would they draft Bronny to safeguard against LeBron leaving? They have one second-round pick
here's
this
what
year.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering the opposite. Do the Lakers say, LeBron, it's not working? It's not working.
I'd be shocked. I would be
because
shocked.
and that's what I'm saying. Let's look at this in a vacuum. I don't think anywhere in the near future LeBron James and the Lakers are going to be at a championship level. Fair? I know they won it in the bubble. If COVID never happened, I do not believe the Lakers win that championship. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll never know. I don't believe that they win that championship. I believe they benefited from having because they were an aging team then. They benefited from having multiple months off and getting into the bubble and having LeBron basically embrace the bubble and seeing another chance to add to his legacy. And he did it, and congratulations to him. But if they don't go in the bubble, I don't think they win that championship, but we'll never know. That being said, since then, they've been in the play-in. They've been playing 3 years now? 3 years in a row now they've been in the play-in? got the upset, got to the Western Conference Finals last year, but had no chance to beat the Nuggets. They are clearly nowhere close to the class of Denver.
Well, here's my thought with
Minnesota, even the Clippers. And so I'm just wondering, like, can you win at a championship level with LeBron James and Anthony Davis in Los Angeles? Because I don't see him as a championship level team.
Yeah, so here's my push.
They've been in the play-in every
I get
single
what
year.
you're saying, but here's my pushback on that, Justin.
I love pushback. Let's do it.
It's like they just proved they can have a 20-point lead. Granted, they lost it. I mean, it feels a little it feels a little Blazers Warriors-esque, right? Years and years ago, we're like, hey, Western Conference Finals, Blazers had a lead in every single one of those games, and then the Warriors championship DNA ultimately showed. They still have gone toe-to-toe with the Nuggets. We think the Nuggets are the best team in the West. At least I do. So that part tells me they're still close. They just, remember what I told you about Steph?
But Brenden, they've lost 10 in a row. I know they're close, but they've lost 10 in a row.
And that's totally fair, but like when you say like never, I could see the Lakers axing the whole roster outside of LeBron, AD, and still
having a chance.
Yeah, you told me earlier, not ready to kill the king, and as long as LeBron's still there, I still think he could put a team on his back and go to the finals.
LeBron James still has not lost a home game this series, right? So the Lakers still haven't lost a home game. They go back to the crypto, and they win 2 games, and all of a sudden, okay, we're having a very different discussion that would be Monday, I think, because they have forever between games. Grumpy old man take coming up in hour number 2, but I'm going to start one.
Got to give LeBron his rest, Joe.
Boy, in my day, they played back-to-back, and they only took 1 travel day, and we got the playoffs done in a month and a half. And they're like, yeah, maybe if we just string this out, we make a whole lot more money. So I see what they're doing. But I just wonder if you're the Lakers, and you clearly can't beat the Nuggets, and it's bad for business because LeBron James on the Lakers, I think, still puts butts in seats. They're still will be the most talked about franchise because LeBron James will say something, he'll hint at retirement, but like, I don't know if you're winning anytime soon. I don't know if the Lakers can ever, and maybe the uniforms are magic. I don't know, but I don't know if you're winning anytime soon. With LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who getting older, oft injured, a lot of stuff like that. So these next couple of games are going to be real interesting. Then to top it all off, LeBron James and we can't play the clip because he dropped a lot of curse words, which I don't care about. I don't care if LeBron James drops curse words, but we would get in very much trouble. So we were told by higher ups to err on the side of caution with curse words, so we're not going to play it. But LeBron calls out the officials, calls out the replay system. Why do we even have a replay center? I was like, I don't know, because they get a chance to look at things slower than you get to look at them. Seems a little petty after a loss like that. Seems a little bit petty. And that's the other thing with the Lakers, why I'm leaning towards they're cooked. Also, I'm leaning that way because the Nuggets just seem to beat them every single time. Anthony Davis goes in. Jamal Murray hit a shot. Microphone down. He bails. Vibes low. Vibes low in L.A. All right. Vibes are high on this show because not only do we have more basketball coming up in hour number 3, we're going to talk about kind of the juxtaposition of the regular season and the playoffs and the difference that seems to be going on in officiating. And we'll take a look at tonight's games as well. Round Ball Rock coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. So an electric night in the NBA last night saw 2 games down to the wire. 20-point comeback for the Denver Nuggets, and Jamal Murray ends it with a game winner, 101-99. But Jokic ended the game with 27 and 20, threw in 10 assists as well. Anthony Davis led the way with 32 points for the Lakers. But the sheer chaos and madness at the end of the Knicks-Sixers game brought us a little bit of fun. So let me give you the situation. All right, first off, let's establish this. I believe in jinxes. I don't know why, because I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in jinxes. It's just one of those things. My team is up. I'm not saying anything. I don't tweet anything. I believe in jinxes. Brenden, you believe in jinxes?
Kind of, I guess.
Better safe than sorry, right? Isn't that what they, isn't that Pascal's wager, I believe, is what they, like, it doesn't hurt you to be superstitious. So the situation is this. In the fourth quarter of the Knicks-Sixers, Sixers are up 101-96, 47 seconds to go. So they're up 5, 47 seconds to go. On the line, shooting the second of 2 shots. A chance to go up 6 with 47 seconds to go. And the Sixers broadcast crew got a little too far ahead of themselves. Here's the Sixers broadcast crew. Again, up 5 on the line, 47 seconds, which is an eternity in NBA basketball, as they have learned. This is how it sounded in Philly. Job done. Yeah, then Jalen Brunson would end up hitting a 3. They would not be able to inbound the ball. The Knicks would then ultimately get the ball back after a scrum. DiVincenzo would hit another 3. Boom, boom, boom. You're down 1. Oops. The goal is to get home court advantage by winning 1 of 2 games on the road. Job done, they said. 47 seconds. Have these guys not watched NBA basketball? Job done? Do you think post-game live was fun? Because that was the other part of it that I thought was really funny. Stay tuned. Post-game live is going to be fun. I don't know if it was very fun. I don't think the people in Philly had an enjoyable experience.
Just a guess, though.
During post-game live. All right. So that was the 2 barn burners last night, but full slate of games coming up tonight as well. Let's dive into Round Ball Rock. All right, so the other game that happened last night, it was on NBA TV. Had to search for it. Cavs get the win, 96-86. Donovan Mitchell dropped in 23 points. So Cavs now have a 2-0 lead. Are we sleeping on Cleveland? Or is Cleveland filler? And I say that because in the NBA playoffs, right, there are favorites, there are spoilers, and then, let's be honest, there's a little bit of filler. And I know that because I'm a Blazer fan. And there were a handful of years where the Blazers were just kind of filler. I love Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a big-time player. But are the Cavs, are we sleeping on the Cavs? Or
I think they're properly rated.
Properly rated? I think I'm inclined to agree with you. The shadow of the Celtics is just so big, though, in the Eastern Conference. And then the Knicks and Philly, like they've got – the Knicks are their own star power, right? The city of New York and Madison Square Garden, and then you've got Joel Embiid. We keep talking about how the Lakers cooked. Brenden, if the Timberwolves beat the Suns tonight, go up 2-0, when do you start getting a little nervous if you're Phoenix about whether or not this Kevin Durant, Devin Booker thing is ultimately going to work?
You already should be worried. The fact that they didn't finish higher, they should be worried. Like, even going before they started. They put all their chips in for 3 stars, and that's not how you build a team in today's NBA.
Man, that second apron
We discourage it now.
Well, and you notice it in the postseason, right? This is where you start to notice that you've got nobody coming off the bench. No offense to the king of Troutdale, Drew Eubanks, but like you've got nobody coming off the bench. Who's their best bench guy? Grayson Allen?
Starts.
He starts.
Nasir Little.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean,
Say
I haven't
no
watched a lot of
more. What do the
Suns
kids
games.
say?
So I kind of say that tongue in cheek.
What
but
do the kids say? Say less.
It's kind of those guys.
Is say
and
less?
Nurk?
Is say less the kid version of like say no more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Say less.
Say less.
Never understood that one. Anyways, Timberwolves, Suns. Game 2 tonight, Minnesota. 3.5-point favorites are the Timberwolves. Bucks, Pacers. Here's what I'm going to be interested in. Obviously, Damian Lillard had a tremendous first half in Game 1. It looked like Indiana. They were down 30, but it looked like Indiana maybe made a mental note. Brenden, I do not think Damian Lillard's going to get a clean look from 3. I think if you are the Pacers, you're like, I do not care if it's Chris Middleton. I do not care if it's Bobby Portis. I don't care who it is. Dame's not beating us tonight. I think we see that from the Pacers. But the Bucks at home, we can see more fireworks from Dame?
That might have been, we'll see. Yeah.
But we still haven't had a road team win yet. Still haven't had a road team win. And then you got Mavericks, Clippers. So, Suns, Timberwolves, Pacers, Bucks, Mavs, Clippers. If you had to pick road team to win tonight,
Pacers.
The Pacers?
I think so.
I think they're. Is it Carlisle? Is Rick Carlisle still their head coach? If I'm Rick Carlisle, I'm just like, I'm going back to old school Damian Lillard defense in the playoffs, which is blitz. What was it? Remember the Titans? We blitz all night. I think they blitz Dame all night. Get the ball out of his hands. It's Coach Yost, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. That was a dynamite Coach Yost. A lot of people don't know that I've got that one in my arsenal. And then I'm intrigued by Mavs Clippers from this perspective. I was watching Game 1, and not a surprise, Paul George and James Harden still get buckets whenever they want. They're still incredibly talented. The thing that I saw in the fourth quarter is I still don't see a working relationship with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. I'm watching, and Luka is fantastic. Top 3 in the MVP voting. Luka is fantastic. But I'm watching Luka Doncic down, I think, 7 or 8, maybe even more, waving off Kyrie Irving in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if that's a good idea to try to beat the Clippers. But I hope all 3 of these series heat up, because it's Kevin Durant still got like a 40-burger night in him. Has he still got one of those nights?
He still got it.
He might have one of those nights tonight. I think Anthony Edwards might have lit a fire. I think we see maybe a big night from Kevin Durant. So there you go. Those are your game 2s coming up in the NBA playoffs later on tonight. We have got Devon Pouncey joining us live in studio for the entire third hour. We got a make or miss coming up. I do have a get off my lawn quarterback discussion, though. We're just a couple of days away from the NFL draft. That is coming up next. Hour number 2 on the way. 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs continued last night with the Cavs getting a win over the Magic. Also, the Knicks get a win in a chaotic final seconds over the Philadelphia 76ers. Nuggets get the win over the Los Angeles Lakers. The Nuggets overcame a 20-point deficit to take down the Lakers 2-0 on Jamal Murray's game winner. Bucks Pacers tonight. Also Suns, Wolves, Mavs, Clippers, all with game twos. NFL news, the Jets have traded Zach Wilson to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round pick. Now, what does that mean for the Broncos and their quarterback situation? We're going to talk a ton of quarterback stuff coming up next. Also, in hour number 3, Devon Pouncey is going to be joining the show live in studio. But hour 2 starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Tuesday. Pounce is going to join us in the third hour, full hour of Hoops Talk. All right, real quick, Brenden, you mentioned this to me earlier today. Blazer update. They lost a coin flip yesterday? That got buried in the news.
Yep, it did. The
So they
Hornets
lost
have
a
slightly
coin flips.
better odds for the top pick than they do.
So now instead of being essentially third from the bottom, they are fourth from the bottom. And worst case scenario, they end up with the number 7 pick. Is that what happens? That's worst case scenario. And that would mean 3 teams.
There's a chance they could get 8, actually. Not
All right.
high, but they could fall potentially down to 8.
What's their percentage for number 1? Is it still at 12%?
13.2 instead of
13.
13.3. So it's
Okay, so they lost
minuscule.
a percentage point, but I think the biggest reason there is they lost a guaranteed spot from 7 to 8. But that would mean 4 teams from behind them would all have to go in front, which I don't know if that's ever happened. So either way, we're still doing coin flips, huh? They couldn't come up with some other, I don't know, thing on the court to figure out this whole thing. Still doing coin flips, huh?
guess so.
It's like the NFL. It's like, it's a game of inches. Lives are determined, not lives determined, but livelihoods are determined on a matter of inches. Still doing sticks and chains, huh? Still sticking with the, all right, got it. So there you go. There's your Blazer update. They lost a 1/10 of a percentage point for the number 1 overall pick and technically are behind. Was that Hornets? The Hornets. Still in front of the Spurs, though. So it goes, it's Pistons, Wizards, Hornets, Blazers, Spurs. Rockets or Jazz?
Toronto,
I forgot about
Memphis,
Toronto, Memphis.
Utah, Rockets.
Boom. There we go. There's your update. All right. There's one thing we like doing on this show. We like going back and looking at drafts. And I'll tell you why. Because there is a bit of a scam that goes on this part of the NFL calendar, which is you get all of these experts, right? You get a ton of experts who come in. And by the way, it's going to happen in June with the NBA draft. We've already heard it. I talked about it with Aaron Fentress yesterday. Oh, this is big-time draft. Or this draft is weak. Next year's draft is loaded. It's like, can you name any of the players? No, but you just hear that, and it becomes, you hear it so much, the legend becomes fact. Print the legend. Man Who Shot Liberty Vance. It's a very old movie. But we do it in the draft all the time. Oh, this is a quarterback-heavy draft. Beware of the quarterback-heavy draft because much like, as I reference my college 2 terms of geology, took geology for 9 weeks, did a midterm, did a paper, did a final, walked out of geology, and all of the rock knowledge that I learned fell right out of my head. Never, other than knowing I know that there is a sedimentary and an igneous rock. I could not tell you the difference because I forgot all about it. We do that with the draft. Where it's like, oh, look at quarterback heavy, all the intangible I bring to you. And then once the draft is over and then OTAs start and mini camps start and then training camp starts, and then we just kind of forget about it for a while. Brenden, you want to go back to the 2021 draft with me real quick? We start with number 1. Just the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks went 1, 2, and 3, 11, 15. That's 5 in the top 15 in the 2021 quarterback draft. Now, asterisk for context, this was the COVID draft. Okay? Not the Justin Herbert ever in leather chair. This was the draft after some teams played 6 games, some teams played 4, some teams get like that. So, and I don't believe had in-person interviews or any of that stuff. Number 1 pick in the 2021 NFL draft to your Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. Pretty good pick. Pretty good pick at number 1. He's having a pretty good career. He's got a playoff win. I think the Jaguars are good there. Didn't blow that one. Number 2 pick in the 2021 NFL draft. This was just 3 years ago, by the way. Zach Wilson to the Jets. Zach Wilson was traded yesterday to the Broncos for a 6th rounder. Number 3 pick in that draft. Most of you in this area probably know. The 49ers took Trey Lance. Trey Lance, now a backup quarterback for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, was traded away and lost his job to a 7th rounder in Brock Purdy. The number 11 pick in that draft was Justin Fields, who went to the Bears. Justin Fields just got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of weeks ago, and he will compete but likely be Russell Wilson's backup. And then the number 15 pick, again, 5 quarterbacks in the top 15. Mac Jones went to the Patriots, and he was just traded to be Trevor Lawrence's backup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Beware of the quarterback-heavy draft, because there are landmines all around. So Zach Wilson now goes to the Broncos. But isn't that fascinating? Do you think he's going to start for the Broncos? I don't think.
Depends on if they draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
If they don't, yes.
But Zach Wilson was a backup last year, and was kind of destined to be a backup quarterback somewhere in the NFL. Just 3 years ago, outside of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson traded, Trey Lance traded, Justin Fields traded, Mac Jones traded, all 4 in the top 15, all 4 now likely headed to backup careers in the NFL. Finding quarterbacks are hard. Finding them is hard. And by the way, this again kind of shows you either it's an anomaly, which I don't believe it is, or it's a trend, which I do believe it is, which I think teams are now far more comfortable pulling the plug on a quarterback. That's 3 years. How long did it take the Jets to pull the plug on Zach Wilson? 1.5 years? Now, he didn't help himself by going I think we're all doing our jobs. It's like, yeah, you lost 3-0. Your defense basically pitched, or I think it was 6-0. Your defense kept the other team out of the end zone. You couldn't put up one drive. It's like, do you feel responsibility? No, not really. Didn't help himself there. Trey Lance was injuries. Justin Fields. What the heck happened with Justin Fields in Chicago? Because
He's going to be your starting quarterback this year.
No,
so
he's
nothing.
not. He's going to be the backup for the Steelers. He'll be the starter in 2 years. Brenden. He's going to be the backup. They're going to have some packages in there for him, though. But what happened there? Because I've said multiple times, I do not believe that if you are a good enough quarterback, an organization can't derail your career. I don't believe it. Case in point, Trevor Lawrence went to the Jaguars, played with Urban Meyer for the first year. That's as bad of a culture as you can get, right? Jacksonville, who's won nothing, with Urban Meyer, who was a complete train wreck, who was drinking and partying with co-eds in the middle of the season, who were not his wife. That's as bad of a culture as you can get, and Trevor Lawrence is like, I still have the talent to overcome that. Justin Fields, the Bears thing, it's fascinating. Maybe he just wasn't good enough. And then Mac Jones to the Patriots. Did Mac Jones end the Bill Belichick era? Because remember, and I'm watching Dynasty. I'm watching the New England Patriots Dynasty documentary. So I'm watching Dynasty, and I forgot. Hand up, forgot. Do you remember Matt Castle took him to 11-5?
I remember that.
And that was the whole thing that cemented Belichick. Belichick went 11-5 with Matt Castle. Does he even need Tom Brady? Is this the magic of Bill Belichick? Was all the talk. At least that was the documentary. And then Tom Brady came back, won a handful of Super Bowls, proved that, it is me, not Matt Castle. And then what? They had Cam Newton. That didn't work out. Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy in New England?
They ran with Bailey Zappi for a minute.
Bailey Zappi. That's who I was trying to think of. They go with Bailey Zappi, and then they draft Mac Jones, and it was kind of an unmitigated disaster. But beware of the quarterback ratings. Beware of the quarterback analysis coming up for the draft, because I am sure in 2021 we were hearing a lot of things about quarterback heavy. Boy, you just don't get a draft class like this anymore. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Back up. Top 15s. Number 2, number 3, number 11, and number 15. All right, coming up next, we have got Make or Miss. You will get off my lawn as well, because I've got some thoughts. I'm also torn. I'm torn on today's Get Off My Lawn, which that's going to be coming up in about 40 minutes. But before we get to all of that, I do want to tell you about the good folks at DeBella. They are roofing, siding, windows, bath experts. That's right, proud supporter of Operation Homefront. And you've probably seen their excellent work. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, HGTV. They got award-winning customer service, accolades from Angie's List, Home Advisor, 15,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. That's their customers trying to tell you exactly how great their experience was with DeBella. And you might be thinking, with all of this, it's going to cost an arm and a leg. Well, how about saving money with savings to your energy bill and federal and state incentives? Maybe even potentially paying for that roof, because they've got all the details on solar shingles that can save you on your energy bill and can get you those federal and state incentives. Plus, while you're saving all that money, no payments until 2025 on approved credit. It's an amazing financing opportunity. So contact DeBella today. They've got all the details on solar shingles. Plus, every one of their appointments are free, no obligation, convenient, schedule on time that works for you. So get to the experts for roofing, windows, siding, and bath projects. They are DeBella. All right, coming up in the third hour of the program, Devon Pounce is going to be joining us live in studio, get his thoughts on the games last night. Dame's big first quarter on Sunday. Well, first half, I should say, on Sunday. He kind of called that last week, didn't he? I think Pounce on Tuesday said, watch out. There's going to be a big Dame game coming. 35 in the first half. We'll see what happens tonight against the Pacers. So that's going to be coming up in the third hour. We do have a Get Off My Lawn. It's going to be a beautiful day, but I'm still grumpy about some stuff. I'm also torn on technology, which we're going to talk about in Get Off My Lawn. But right now, it is that time. Let's get into Make or Miss.
All right, firing up Make or Miss today. Jokic is the MVP.
Hey. It's a regular season award, Brenden. A regular He's so good. He is so good. If we're talking the MVP on paper, I still can talk myself and my bank account into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But if we're talking about basketball in the real world, I don't think there's any argument. He's the best player in the world. He might be the best player of his generation. If the Nuggets again win back to back, how many MVPs has he won? He's won 2 already. This would be his third, or has he already won 3 and this will be his fourth? I want to say this will be his third. I forget how many times, but so he's won 2. This will be his third if he wins it. Luckily, the voting stopped and isn't allowed during the first round of the postseason. But he's the best player in the world. Jamal, this is how good Jokic is. Brenden, Jamal Murray hit the shot that won the game. Michael Porter Jr. hit the shot that essentially gave the Nuggets a chance. LeBron James is playing in this game as well. And anybody that knows basketball, and I know a smidge, but anybody that knows basketball goes like, yeah, Jokic is the best player on the court if you watch that game at all. 27, 20, and 10. There seems to be kind of a formula for the Nuggets and the Lakers, right? Which the Lakers kind of come out to an early lead, ultimately collapse. Jokic gets a triple-double. Rinse, repeat. Nuggets get the win. Is there anybody in Jokic's class in the NBA right now? Because we're in an interesting time in the NBA. Giannis is hurt, but I still think Giannis healthy. There's always something there. Embiid, but if we're talking about we got a very young crop of. There's Anthony Edwards. There's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's Tyrese Halliburton. Who else am I missing? Luka. Luka's still fairly young. You got this young. Would have said Ja before, but I don't know if he's in that conversation anymore. But you got these young, and then you've got aging superstars with Steph, LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George. I mean, basically the entire LA Clippers. I guess Jason Tatum might be in the conversation.
He's just on a really stacked team.
God, we keep sleeping on Jason Tatum.
That's the problem is, his numbers are down slightly because they're so elite. He's got Kristaps Porzingis now. He's got Drew Holiday now. I mean, he's, that's still the best team in basketball.
This is how I always like to do it. For next season, you're redrafting the league, right? You're redrafting the league. One season, we're starting over. You get first pick, 1-1. I think everybody in the world's taking Jokic at this point, right? Who's second?
I'd probably take Shai Gilgeous just after that.
Yeah. Or Jason Tatum.
Or Tatum. One of those two. But
That's what I'm saying.
It's a short list.
Luka? Too much usage rate?
That, and he hasn't really proven he can play with teammates. Ship Kristaps out, but Jason Tatum is like, hey, Kristaps pretty good for me. So maybe you messed up on that one, Luka.
This is what I like about the NBA, though, is we've kind of gotten away from super teams, which I don't know if that's Adam Silver or if that's just the market kind of resetting, but we've kind of gotten away from super teams. And we're back to the point where, Brenden, if you want to play and win in the postseason, you got to be able to move the ball and you've got to be able to play defense. You know what I mean? If you want to win at the high level, which is why Jokic is kind of doing what, I don't know how much defense he plays, but he moves the ball, dropping in assists, and grabs a whole bunch of rebounds. But if you want to win in the postseason in the NBA, you still got to be able to move the ball, and you still got to be able to play defense. Which way the Knicks are intriguing. Man, if they'd have had Julius Randle. But I think, is it crazy to say, when it's all said and done, where's Jokic going to end up? Top 10 all time?
Yeah,
top 20, top 20. Top 25 easy. Now the hard part is you get into top 10 and you're like, all right, there's Jordan, there's LeBron, there's Magic and Bird, and 10 fills up real fast. But this guy is a triple-double machine. He is a matchup nightmare. The best player of his generation right now. He might be a top 15, top 10 player when it's all said and done. And he doesn't jump. He doesn't jump.
He is still the fact that he was a second round pick, the fact that people missed on him so much, there's probably not, there isn't a player who was taken lower who's been more impactful. He is to be honest, yeah, don't get me wrong, forever it was Draymond Green. Now it's Jokic. Draymond's great.
But he's not MVP.
But he can't do what Jokic can do.
No.
So it's when you look back, you're like, okay, I see why Draymond Green was a second round pick. He couldn't really have much of an offensive game. It just wasn't really there. Jokic, it's just so fascinating that people could be so wrong. And again, you go back and look at that 2014 draft, the Denver Nuggets take Yusuf Nurkic with their first round pick and Nikola Jokic with their second round pick. Well, and that turned out to end up working out pretty well for him.
And I still believe this happens, and it's going to happen in the NFL, maybe not so much, but I believe it happens a lot in the NBA. We can go about all these advanced stats, and we can get into, scouting and how much. Brenden, eyeball test still matters in the draft. And I have a hunch there was a good amount of people that watched Nikola Jokic play basketball and was like, I don't see it. He's slow. He doesn't jump. A little pudgy. What is it? The commercial we play? A little porky, right? Is he friends with Lou? Lou, he's on meds too, remember? A little porky. But you know what I mean? I think that's where you look at Jokic where you're like, my eyeballs tell me this should not make sense. But then he goes up against Anthony Davis, who cannot guard him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's best in the world right now. All right, what's next?
This is gonna be fun. Watch out, Denver moms. Zach Wilson's bound.
Hey. I see kind of what Denver is doing. Again, we do all this stuff on paper because they are in. They're in cap hell right now because they went all in. They took a big swing for Russell Wilson. And now they're going to be paying the Steelers to have Russell Wilson on their team. So you need somebody to take snaps. With this move, I think high likelihood at 12, they take a quarterback. Is it going to be Bo Nix? Is it going to be Michael Penix? I think it's going to be one of those two guys, unless we see. By the way, I heard a conspiracy theory that I kind of believe. Can I throw it out there? And believe it or not, it kind of has to do with what we're talking about. The conspiracy theory is that there are forces in the media that overhype certain specifically quarterbacks, so that they could become the green room guy to make the first round entertaining. Aaron Rodgers, I think, was the first ever green room guy. Aaron Rodgers was sitting there they thought he was going to go, he might have went number 1 or number 2 overall. The 49ers took Alex Smith. And then they got into a spot where it's like every team that was down the line didn't need a quarterback. And so the camera sits. Brady Quinn, I think, was a green room guy. Who else was a green room guy? I think Roethlisberger was for a little bit too.
It always seems to depend, and now you've got guys who just don't go, so it's kind of interesting.
But I heard this conspiracy theory that, like, J.J. McCarthy, that they are pumping him up, that the certain forces in the media are pumping him up almost without knowledge from NBA teams. Again, this conspiracy theory. So that he will be the guy going into he'll believe he's a top 4 pick, and that he will go to the draft and sit in the green room, and then you'll have your green room guy. And you'll have something else to write about on Thursday. So I'd heard that as a conspiracy theory. I 45% believe it. But that being said, I think the Broncos at 12 they've got to go quarterback, and maybe you put Zach Wilson out there as kind of a sacrificial lamb. Can he eat up 4 weeks so that you could then sell the fan base on going young? Because that's kind of what he's going to be. I know this because I saw it in Pittsburgh. Brenden, the Steelers put Mitch Trubisky out there to be a sacrificial lamb so that I think the heat was going to be taken off of Kenny Pickett a little bit. I firmly believe that's what some teams are doing. Like that. Let's throw this guy out there as a starter. He's not going to be the starter at the end of the year, but our rookie's not ready. So we need to throw somebody else in the volcano, Joe versus the volcano. We got to throw somebody else out there to the masses. They'll chew him up, spit him out. And then when the rookie comes in, everybody's going to be so happy because and even like, I think Kenny Pickett threw like 3 picks. His Steelers fans didn't care because it wasn't Mitch Trubisky. I think that's going to be Zach Wilson in Denver. I think he was traded to be a sacrificial lamb, to send him out there for the first 4 weeks. It's not going to go well. And then when they draft Bo Nix and he goes in, everybody's going to be so happy because it's going to be something new and young and the future. That's my theory. Does it hold water? Or maybe J.J. McCarthy slides back to 12, which I think could happen as well.
I've told you before, I have a lot of questions with this draft class after Caleb Williams specifically.
It's kind of every draft class, right? Because when we went back in that 2021 class, like they're all backups now except Zach Wilson.
Oh, and we can go back and find the clips from 2021 because I guarantee I was like, Trey Lance, the guy who played 1 year at North Dakota State in a COVID schedule.
Yeah, I know.
All him, got it. And then same with Zach Wilson. It's like, you go back, people are so shocked at Zach Wilson. Go back and look at the bums he played in 2020 at BYU. No disrespect to, having.
But wasn't that the knock against Josh Allen, though? Josh Allen was at Wyoming. He was playing against bums. But the difference was he played an actual full schedule.
Yeah.
And actually had a full workout. I think the biggest problem with that draft 3 years ago was none of those guys could be interviewed or worked out because of COVID. They didn't have a combine. But that was kind of the knock against Josh Allen. It's like, oh, he's at Wyoming. Look who he's throwing to. Look who he's playing against.
Yeah, they went 8-6 and 8-5 in back-to-back years. But beat 2 ranked opponents his junior year, and then had a couple ranked opponents, including the Oregon Ducks, on his schedule in 2017. Compared to
that made me very happy that game for a couple of different reasons.
Let's see. Compared to Zach Wilson, who the best team he played in 2020 was probably the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Probably.
Yeah.
Which is Navy, Army, Troy, Louisiana Tech, UTSA, Houston, Texas State.
So they're all powerhouses.
Western Kentucky Hilltopper.
Let's go Big Red.
Boise State. Oh, the North Alabama Lions. That's a tough one. UCF, San Diego State, Coastal Carolina. So I look back at that now and I go, no wonder he put up 30 touchdowns against 3 picks.
Plus, wasn't interviewed in person, right? Everything was on Zoom. Everything was virtual. God, I hope we never go back to that. Remember virtual happy hours? I think about that now. They were so depressing. They're so depressing. Hey, let's do a Zoom happy hour. This is depressing.
All right, let's.
Also, I saw rumors, though, that, and again, 3 days before the draft, rumors abundant. That's what I was going to say. The Patriots might be looking to trade back. The Patriots, are they all that pumped about either J.J. McCarthy or Drake May, who's going to be their options, that they might be looking to trade back? And maybe the Vikings, who are looking to get aggressive at quarterback, they might be willing to trade up. That could shake some stuff up. Who do the Patriots have at quarterback if they don't draft J.J. McCarthy or Drake May?
Who do they have, or who will they go
Who's
get?
going to play? Or they go get somebody?
Probably go get. I don't think they have anybody on the roster who could play right now. I mean, I think they still have Zappy, but
They get. Yeah,
it's a new
Zappy
coach
out there for a year.
New coach, new offense. They'll probably look to sign somebody.
Cardinals, no. Chargers, no. Giants, maybe. The Giants draft a quarterback?
That I think they will reach because that organization is so done with Daniel Jones. It is
So
not
done.
even funny. So yeah, no, I would definitely say that the Giants are sneaky. And then I also think if they do, then you're going to see teams panicking, and you're going to see the Broncos take a quarterback at 14. You're going to see some teams in the teens. I think, because I think it's very clear. 2 tiers. You got your upper tier, and then I think you've got Bo Nix and Michael Penix in the late teens, early 20s. Do you take them?
You don't think Bo Nix is as good as J.J. McCarthy? I'm biased here because obviously I love Bo Nix, and I've watched every game that he's played at Oregon. But you don't think Bo Nix is as good as J.J. I don't understand the J.J. McCarthy
I don't really like
stuff.
J.J. McCarthy either.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't think that. I think that I mean, I think you take what you will, right? I don't love Michael Penix because I think he's kind of an injury waiting to happen. And maybe that's, and I guarantee there are GMs right now in the NFL saying the same thing I am. We're not going to risk a first round, draft capital on a guy who's had 4 major surgeries in his college career. Bo Nix, But
it sounds like, though, because they were doing the physicals and stuff. It sounds like it's been better news with Penix, that there's less worry about that.
That's good. But yeah, and then Bo, my biggest question with him is and I think it was when we were talking to and this was actually something
Brantley Wiseman?
Or Cam Miller. Forget
Miller.
who exactly it was, but we kind of mentioned the same thing with Penix. Both those guys kind of focused on short little bubble screens and deep shots down the field, not necessarily that intermediate passing game that you need to have in the NFL. So that's my question with those 2 guys. That comparatively, Justin, because we know Caleb Williams, we saw it, can make every throw on the football field.
It's insane.
You saw it with your own eyes.
His arm.
I saw it with my own eyes 2 years ago.
Brenden, his arm is insane.
Justin, for me,
it's insane.
For me and my team, it was his legs. 4th and something, and he just keeps pushing the pile.
It was 4th and 11, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just keeps pushing the pile.
Had him too.
Keeps pushing the pile. But so I look at that and I go, that dude is him, as we say.
So good.
But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if those guys go first round. But I need to see it.
Also, we're in an era in the NFL right now, what we talked about earlier. Those 4 quarterbacks from the 2021 draft, none of them are starting for their team. They're all traded. They're all gone. It's not that they were benched, that they're gone. Teams are pulling the plug on quarterbacks so fast. And like you said, what did the Giants do at quarterback? What did the Falcons got? What's his name? Falcons got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
they got Kirk Cousins. What do the Seahawks do? Right? What do the Vikings do? Raiders. I saw Raiders very interested in Michael Penix. That was the latest thing I saw. Is that the Raiders were interested? Raiders are going to need a quarterback because they got Minshew, right? They got Minshew mania in Las Vegas. But what do the Raiders do at quarterback? A lot of teams that need some quarterbacks. All right. Do you have a real quick one? I can do it fast.
We can do real quick. Jamal Murray's underrated.
That's a make. I've been on Team Jamal Murray. I early invested in Jamal Murray. He was my biggest. Him and Donovan Mitchell from the bubble. I was like, those two dudes. Watch them. You look at his playoff numbers versus his regular season numbers, and it's like I kind of like a guy that just shows up in the playoffs. Kind of guy you want on your team. All right, coming up next, we have you will get off my lawn. Wrap up hour number 2 next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, it is Tuesday. It is the end of hour number 2. You guys should already know by now what is on the way, which is getting that negativity out. There are certain things in the world that bug me. There are certain things that just annoy me. I had my list of things that I'm too old to do. By the way, Brenden, I will say this yesterday. I went out and I crowdsourced a little bit. I went to my gym and asked around. Apparently, I'm the only one that doesn't sneak food into the movie theaters anymore because everyone from every age group, from every economical background at my gym said, yeah, what are you talking about? I stop by Target and Walmart every single time. So I'm going to take the L on that one. Went out into the real world. I was like, do you guys all sneak candy in the movie theater? And everybody's like, yeah, everything except popcorn. I'm like, man. Okay, that one's on me. But there's also something else that happened at the concert I attended on Saturday. And then also something that happened last night with the NBA games on social media. It has me torn on technology, and we're going to talk about that in our Get Off My Lawn segment, which starts right now. All right, most of the time, I try to be a live and let live guy. You do you, as long as it doesn't affect me, it shouldn't bug me. But there are certain things in this world that do bother me. One is, and again, this is grumpy old man talk right now. So this is a generational thing. So before you shake your head, Brenden, because I can already see it coming, excessive filming on your phone at concerts, just, I don't know, it bugs me. It bugs the you-know-what out of me. I understand that you want to maybe record the, hey, this is the opener. Or, you know what I mean? This is the entrance. And you want to record that and you want to throw it on the gram and make all your friends jealous. Or, this is my favorite song. Here, look at my favorite song. But, as I was sitting in general admission, which I'm never going to do ever again, on Saturday. I'm never going to do ever again. I couldn't help but just look around and just see the amount of people that, while it wasn't an expensive concert, it was a night out. It cost money, that were watching the concert like with their right hand extended and watching their camera as they were filming. Like the opener. Not even the headliner, filming the opener. Again, not really affecting me, but I'm just looking around going like, man, live in the moment. But for the sake of keeping it real, I will say I'm a bit of a hypocrite on this subject. And I'll tell you why I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I must have watched 14 angles of Jamal Murray's game-winning shot online. Then of the 14 angles I have seen, 12 of which were cell phones. So I am part of the problem, Brenden. I am part of the problem because I look around. I still remember when LeBron James broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record, right? And there is 99.99% of fans on their phone for the moment. One guy wearing a Nike swoosh hat, sitting front row. His name was Phil Knight, sitting there, arms folded, no phone. And I go like, see, Phil gets it. And just when I think I am in the right here, just when I think I have got the higher ground, I realize kind of a hypocrite because I've watched that Jamal Murray thing. I've watched the Tyrese Maxey kind of timeout with 12 different angles as well. So I'm torn, okay? I'm torn. I am a hypocrite. I sat there on Saturday going like, look at these sheeple. Look at all these. They're just living on their phones, just living through. And then I'm like, Justin, all morning you've been watching angles of the end of the Knicks-Sixers game. And also, I will say when my friends put up Instagram videos of concerts or my TikTok feed pops up, I'll watch those too. All right? So this is less of a get off my lawn and more of a Justin grumpy old man confessions. But we've talked about this before. Do you film when you're in the mosh pit? Do you film the whole time?
Not the whole time, but yeah, I have videos of me being in the mosh pit.
Yeah. So do you go selfie or do you go?
No, just like, I mean, maybe flipping it both. But yeah, like it's, I've got probably half a dozen videos of me in a mosh pit.
What about when you go, like, let's say you go to a game. Now, when was the last time you were at a game where you weren't working? The Jeopardy theme right now.
I mean, probably Blazer game last year.
Blazer game.
Yeah.
Do you film that? Do you do stuff on your phone there too? Because that's the other thing. Like,
so not anymore. Like back when they were playoff good, you could like record like the intro videos and stuff. That was kind of cool. I always loved to do that.
Do you record the intro videos?
Damian Lillard.
See, okay, so
Mark
that
Mason.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand recording the intro videos,
Yeah,
right?
like I remember doing that quite a bit.
I can understand recording the tip-off so that you can throw it on Instagram and be like, hey, I'm at the game and you're not. That's why we all do it, by the way. And I respect it. I respect the...
But other than that, I was in 300 level for most of the time, Justin, so nah.
Get the zoom? Get the zoom in? People can't tell.
I wasn't filming it.
But here's the other thing. Like, people, like, filming, like, the Jamal Murray shot, which, again, I'm a hypocrite because I've watched it. People know these games are on camera, right? That they film all of it from every different angle, that you don't really need your angle. You can go home and watch it whenever you want. It's going to end. This whole thing is going to end up on YouTube, right? We all know that. But I get it. Letting your friends know. Is there anything at concerts that bug you? Or are you just freewheeling, Red Bull vodka sipping, happy-go-lucky guy?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I mean,
what do you got?
Sorry, say that again.
So something at concerts that bugs you. Because I look around and I just go like, why with all the phones?
That's a good question.
And I know it's generational. I know I'm a grumpy old man. That's why we do this segment right now. But I went to a Garth Brooks concert. They locked up our phones, and it was so great.
Yeah,
it was so great.
Telling me what I can and can't bring into a concert.
Have you had the phone locked up?
I haven't yet, but I would refuse to go to a concert.
What if it was the weekend? What if I said, Brenden?
Nah, not worth it.
I've got 100 level tickets for you for free, and you shall go to, because the weekend's like your guy.
Yeah, he's not so, like, he's great, but not.
All right, what about Travis Scott?
Seen him twice already.
Okay.
There's not really anybody in music right now that I haven't seen. Maybe this one guy who had some fun in Nashville.
Yeah,
like
okay.
that's a bucket list to see.
So if I said, Brenden, because I got pretty good seats for Morgan Wallen this summer, can't go. Here are one stipulation: you can't take your phone.
Yeah, that would be about it. That'd be about it.
You would.
I would. But it's a short list because I've now come to the fact that like concerts are an experience. They're fun to go, but like for how expensive they are now, it's like I kind of like listening to music just normally because the sound quality is better.
To me, there's nothing like going to a concert.
Yeah,
like,
there's
if you go and somebody's good, right?
A lot of auto tuning in the rap game.
Yeah, there is some auto.
So there's Future sounds a lot different in person than he does. Travis Scott sounds a lot different in person than he does.
There's a great. I think it was Steve Harvey back in the day, the Kings of Comedy, which was that was a DVD that a bunch of us all watched. But like he did the whole thing about how 47 dudes on stage at a hip hop concert, every one of them got a mic, and it was like. Yeah, probably need to cut a couple back. All right, we've got Devon Pouncey. He joins us hour number 3 next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs continued last night. Cavs get a win over the Magic. Knicks get a victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. Chaos in the final seconds at Madison Square Garden. And the Nuggets get the victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. Nuggets overcame a 20-point deficit to take down the Lakers. They're up 2-0, have won 10 in a row. Jamal Murray hits the game winner over Anthony Davis. Tonight we got Bucks, Pacers, Suns, Wolves, Mavs, Clippers, all with game twos. NFL news, the Jets have traded Zach Wilson to the Broncos for a 6th-round pick. We are just a couple of days away from the first round of the NFL draft. Devon Pouncey, friend of the program, joins us for the entire third hour, and it starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome into hour number 3, everybody. Obviously, an electric night in the NBA last night. Scramble at Madison Square Garden. Did Maxey get the timeout in time? Did he even have control in time? Philadelphia 76ers fans probably be talking about that for a while. But as chaos ensued, ball ping-pongs around. Knicks get a shot up. They make up a 5-point deficit in the matter of about 20-some seconds. And the Knicks now take a 2-0 lead over the 76ers. And when it looked like that was going to be the game of the night, the nightcap came along, and LeBron and the Lakers looked like they were going to steal one in Denver. Finally get that albatross from around their neck. Finally, they were going to be able to move on from this 9-game losing streak. They got a 20-point lead in the second half. Figured some things out against the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, that's maybe the best player in the world. And in Denver, air gets a little thin. Lungs start to burn a little bit. Legs get a little bit heavy. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we got a tie ball game. You got Jamal Murray with the ball in his hands. Electricity happens. And now you got a 2-0 lead for the Denver Nuggets. Now, very excited to welcome back to the big show our basketball analyst here on Rip City Mornings. He's also the basketball analyst for your Rip City Remix. He is a friend of the program, and he joins us each and every Tuesday. Pals, what's up, bud?
Man, coming off arguably the greatest nationally televised doubleheader in playoff history, huh?
I mean,
It was up there.
It was up, and I don't
You
obviously
don't remember one better.
I don't remember one better. Not off the top of my head. Can't think of one. Because the way that whole thing ended with the Knicks and the Sixers, and then it was like, wow, that was a crazy night. Let's hunker down. 20-point lead. Nuggets, they may drop one at home. Here we go. And nope.
They figured it out. No lead is safe in the NBA, baby. No lead is safe.
And it is something I do love about the playoffs, because I get it. 82 games in a regular season is a marathon. It is a grind. And I understand sometimes the mentality of like, hey, it's just not our night tonight. Shut it down. Live to fight another day.
Right.
Not in the playoffs. Which is why I love it.
Yeah.
Even, and we're going to talk about Dame here in a moment, because you kind of called the Dame performance last week.
For sure.
But like there's 30-point lead in that game, and Indiana got it back to 12.
They dwindled it down.
And then ultimately I think it was just too much to overcome. But yeah, it is something that I have liked, and I've noticed, and maybe it happens every year and we just kind of forget, but I have noticed officials seem to be letting more stuff go, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that they're going to let teams play physical. Really helped the Knicks out last night.
Definitely.
And just the overall effort night in and night out that playoff basketball brings. I talked about it on Monday. I was like, I forgot how much I love playoff basketball.
It's still the best. It's still the best. It's the best. And like you said, everybody's playing for something. It's no more like you don't have to worry about load management at this point in the year. It's one of those things like, oh, if a guy's not playing, then he probably is like legitimately hurt at this point, because this isn't the time of year that you're going to get any type of load management. But ultimately, I think just the intensity of it all, and I like that things went the way they were supposed to in all of the game ones where all the home teams won, and obviously
Still haven't had a road team win.
Still haven't had a road team win. So the playoffs still really haven't started yet in many people's eyes, because you know what they say, a series doesn't start until a team wins on the road. So I like the fact that, you know, the teams that are supposed to be taking care of home are doing so right now, and it puts pressure on these lower-seeded teams to have to take care of home themselves when that opportunity presents.
All right, let's talk about the Lakers real quick. I fall into this trap a lot, but if you really think about it, I've never bought into momentum from game to game.
Yeah.
I think there is momentum in a game, right, from quarter to quarter, and you saw that last night. Teams get rolling downhill, crowd gets re-engaged.
Right.
The officials all of a sudden start calling the game a little bit different. Frustration kicks in. But I don't know if you go from game to game in the NBA, if you can kind of carry momentum from one to the other. I do think there is maybe some teams that just kind of get beaten down, but I don't know if the momentum from one game to the other. And it seems as though the hot take is, well, the Lakers had their chance. That was their chance last night. They didn't steal a game in Denver.
Yeah.
This team is cooked. Maybe the Lakers with LeBron is like a lot of looking ahead.
Right.
We've done it on this show too. Are the Lakers cooked? Because I still think they can go back. It's still LeBron James. They can still go back and win two in L.A., and all of a sudden it's a different story than what we're talking about today.
And they're cooked.
You think they're cooked?
I believe they're cooked. I mean, even, yes, they can go home and win 2 games in L.A. Do I think they're going to go home and win 2 games in L.A.? No. And that's going to be the problem, is they have to win 2 games to not be cooked. And I just don't see it happening. And it really comes down to me, the supporting cast. You look at Anthony Davis, who played great for what it was worth, by the way. Anthony Davis has a great game. He's always going to get neutralized by Joker, who's just always going to put up monstrous numbers. Yeah. And then I think just surrounding that, the Nuggets are just more complete, top to bottom. I mean, you got Jamal Murray, who played terribly for 3.5 quarters, and then finally in that fourth quarter, I mean, and I guess you could say 3 quarters, but really it came down to like the latter part of that fourth quarter where he really kind of turned up, started catching the rhythm, hitting all those mid-range jumpers, getting to the free throw line, so on and so forth. But I just don't think the Lakers are deep enough or complete enough. And you even consider the fact that D'Angelo Russell he hit a bunch of threes yesterday. Don't think he's going to do that night in and night out. So I just think they don't have the depth and the supporting cast that Denver has. Because even when Denver went down 20, it was like, oh, you could see that Michael Porter Jr. can still knock down shots and help keep them in the game. You could see some of the momentum plays from Aaron Gordon on both sides of the basketball, and Denver just still looked like the better team. The Lakers were just hot when they went up 20. And this is a league where, like, swings are just inevitable at this point. And Denver made their swing after being down 20 and ended up knocking down a game winner.
It is fascinating. We talked about it last hour before you came on. Jokic, I believe, is the best player in the world.
Yeah,
I think he's the best player in the world. That's not really a hot take, right? I think Jokic is the best player in the world. I think we're also, as we're watching him play, we are in the midst of watching an all-time great.
Yeah, generational talent.
A generational talent, maybe even might even be one of those like we talk about with Steph, like we've talked about with Jordan, or like guys who changed the game.
Yeah.
Because if you are a player of size anywhere in the world, you better be dribbling and passing.
For sure.
Because that's going to be the next complete player. We see that with Wemby too.
Right.
And we're ultimately, I think, going to see more and more guys with size. But what else is it? What is it about Jokic? Is it court vision? Because I hear all the time about court vision, right?
Yeah, he's great.
Is that teachable? Or is that just a guy whose brain is wired
it's a feel.
To just like, he sees all the angles before anybody else sees them?
Yeah. I think ultimately he just has an insane feel for the game. And he has to, because he's not that athletic. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's faster than anybody. It's not like he's creating separation from folks with just sheer athleticism, whether it's getting by a person or jumping over a person because he has these insane hops to be able to shoot over the top of guys. It's like he has probably one of the best feels for the game of basketball that I've ever seen. I mean, you even look last night when he was going to work on Anthony Davis, like, yeah, he's a big boy and you can't really move him. But at the same time, like, he was putting on an absolute clinic when it came to his footwork down there in the post. I mean, it was one play where he was, back to the basket in the post. He faces up and he, like, pump fakes then he steps through, and then he like twirls and does a quick spin it was just nasty. Like he has a feel for the game that I think is unmatched, and his confidence is unwavering because he knows that he's computing at a rate better than everybody else on the floor when it comes down to processing the game, and it shows night after night after night. So I think definitely when it comes to his passing and everything else, he just has an incredible knack and feel for the game like no other.
It's all you talk about how, physically, like he doesn't do anything other than his presence, right?
Right.
Physically, like he doesn't jump over guys.
No.
He doesn't look jacked, clearly. Right. And Brenden talks about it all the time. He doesn't jump. Like he doesn't.
No.
We have maybe one of the huge factor of the game of basketball is your hops,
Absolutely.
leaping ability. Like, we were all obsessed with it.
For sure.
Jordan could take off from the free throw line.
100%.
Right? Kobe with between the legs and we're the best player in the world who's not jumping.
Yeah,
he's not jumping.
He's putting on a clinic. He's putting on. He's not jump shooting. He's just shooting. But you know what? He gets that thing up high and it drops every single time. Like I said yesterday, when Anthony Davis late in the game, just once he started backing him down in that post, it was just a footwork clinic down low. Like he is special, and like I said, his feel for the game is unmatched in this entire league. The closest thing I would say probably to that, and this is a guy who has historically had great athleticism, even though it's starting to decline a little bit, is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like that's the closest thing when it comes to his ability to again like compute the basketball game. And even LeBron, he doesn't have a feel for the game like Joker does, because LeBron can still lean on his size and strength and athleticism and being jacked and all those things, along with the fact that he is just a very smart basketball player. But Joker's the best basketball player in the world, and I definitely think he's the smartest.
All right. Yes, Brenden, what do you got?
Quick question for you, Devon. Have you ever seen a player so good that does not jump?
No.
Like, honestly.
Quick hard, no.
Yeah. It's true, though.
Like, straight up, like someone who does not get off the ground and is this, I mean, not like just, oh, yeah, a good bucket getter, but literally everything.
Everything. No.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm still amazed by it.
I mean, even when you watch him, like, go coast to coast, bringing the basketball up the floor, it's like, it's just so slow, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so slow, but it looks like they're playing with so much pace and tempo because nobody's stopping them.
All right, coming up next, I want to talk LeBron. Want to talk Steph Curry. Want to talk the future of certain guys in the NBA right now that are facing deficits, and like the Warriors already been eliminated. And then we'll also get into Dame and Dame's big game on Sunday as well. A lot more basketball to talk about. Devon Pouncey is joining us live in studio next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so electric night of basketball last night. We got 3 games tonight. A lot of stuff to dive into with our good friend Devon Pouncey, who is joining us live in studio as he does each and every Tuesday. Let's go back to Sunday, because last week we were talking about, boy, what happens if the Bucks lose this series?
Yeah.
What happens? Is it one and done with Dame? Stephen A. Smith was throwing out all sorts of theories, and then they tipped off the game. And Dame drops 35 in the first half. And not only it wasn't that he just dropped 35. It was like, we know that guy.
Yeah.
Like, we know that guy. Now,
Very familiar.
I talked about it on Monday. I was torn. I was torn because I am a fan. I understand everything that came along with what happened last summer. I get all of it.
For sure.
Right? You drafted a 19-year-old point guard when you already have a point guard. I understand why Dame asked for the trade. I understand why everything kind of went down. That being said, I didn't like it.
I loved it.
I didn't like it.
I loved it.
It was
for him. I loved it.
I said it felt like, you had a mutual breakup and you both decided like, it's not working. It's better for both. And then you look on Instagram, like, boy, she's doing really good.
Yeah.
Wished them the best.
Yeah.
Didn't want them to be that good. And it was like, God, that's vintage Dame again. There he is.
That was vintage Dame, but I also think that, like, he didn't get the credit all season long for being who we known him to become ultimately over 11 years in Portland. And that was what made me happy for Dame in particular. I mean, coming into the season, like, I called him a dark horse to win MVP. He wasn't like my go-to guy to win MVP, but I called him a dark horse because I felt like he was going to have a far greater platform to put on display what us here in Rip City already knew about the guy. He's getting 20-plus nationally televised games. And then, of course, you come into the season and it's like the Bucks are a bunch of drama. They go through all these coaching changes. We talked about all those things last week, but it's like, but wait, they're still winning games at a high rate. And so to be able to see him have that kind of performance with Giannis out, and I was leaning this direction already last week, but I think now I'm ready to kind of stand 10 toes in it, is where, like, I think this might be best case scenario for the Bucks to have Giannis out initially in the playoffs. Of course, you're going to need Giannis as you continue to progress and advance, and you might even need him later on in this series. But if you can get out of this series with him or without him, I do believe Dame being able to catch rhythm is far more important than even Giannis being able to catch rhythm, because Giannis can produce and affect the game in so many other ways outside of, like, his offense and scoring the basketball. And you know that he's going to get his money because he's just that dominant of a player. I think Dame catching rhythm offensively is going to be massive for the Bucks to be able to have success and make a deep run this year.
Now, here's what happens tonight, because I'm going to be very interested to see what the Pacers do. The Pacers went with a bold strategy, I thought, in the first half, which was let Dame shoot wide open threes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think Rick Carlisle's a really good coach, but I have a hunch that wasn't exactly the way that they drew it up. And,
Right.
And they made some adjustments at halftime. Didn't score in the second half. Also didn't really need to.
No.
Because the game was kind of out of hand. I'm going to be fascinated to see what the Pacers do tonight, because we have seen it a lot, which was the strategy for years and years and years with the Blazers and Dame in the playoffs, which was blitz Dame, get the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
Because if you get the ball out of his hands, might not come back around. I think we see that from the Pacers tonight. I would be shocked if Dame gets more than 5 open looks. Doesn't mean he's not going to have a big night, because we've seen him be able to. But I think you see a whole lot of blitzing. I think you see that old strategy of you got to get the ball out of his hands and try to make somebody else beat you.
Yeah, I definitely think that you dare Middleton to beat you.
Yeah.
Like
You have
ultimately
to, right?
make Middleton prove it. He's proven it in past years. I mean, he's a champion. He's an all-star. Like, we know what his potential and what he's capable of being at his best. We also know that he's had a lot of health issues. He's not quite the same guy that he was the year that they won that championship and when he was making all-star appearances. But he still shows flashes of that. And I think in the second half, when they did start to kind of get the ball out of Dame's hands, Middleton had a strong second half and was able to help them kind of rally it on in and ultimately win the game. But, yes, if I'm the Pacers, I'm not letting Dame beat me of all players because it's Dame, for crying out loud. Make Middleton, make Bobby Portis 6th man of the year, make 6'11" Brook Lopez, who likes to shoot threes. Make those guys beat you, but don't let Dame do it.
But I will say, if that Dame shows up night in and night out, which we know he's capable, the Bucks are now a much bigger factor than maybe we thought a week ago.
I always thought they were.
Because you said the drama, the fact that Giannis was out. I thought the Pacers were going to try to take the ball out of Dame's hands from the beginning. But if Dame is back in tapping the wrist in Dame time mode and yelling at the crowd saying this is why you brought me here, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, if he tap into Brookfield, Dame, good luck out there on the East Coast.
Yes, Brenden.
A quick thought on that. I say this kind of tongue in cheek, but does it surprise anyone that Damian Lillard's capable of winning a first round on his own?
Not at all.
No.
I'd say call me when we're in the conference finals, Eastern Conference semifinals even. I mean,
but what do you think if like what Pound said, if Dame is playing at this level and then Giannis comes back?
Oh yeah, they could totally make a run at it.
Watch
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll say this, maybe they figured it out, but like I still have issues with how that team is constructed. How Doc Rivers has been up and down. It was a great first opening playoff series, and Dame basically cooked him, and you'd expect that, right? It remembers me to when he did it to the Thunder or any other team's first round. Now, if Giannis comes back, what's Dame's fatigue level as it goes on? Because I go back to the series against the Nuggets when the Blazers went to the Western Conference Finals. CJ McCollum, who closed out that series. Damian Lillard was pretty gassed by the end of it. So I'm just curious if the Bucks say, hey, go be Superman now, which he was for one game, how long or how sustainable that is.
Here's the other thing that's weird. Like, we don't know when Giannis is coming back.
We don't.
Because it's a weird injury, right? It's that Solaris.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Tough muscle, man.
It's a tough muscle is what I hear. But, like, it's one of those where it's like, it might be a week. Might be 3 weeks.
Might be 3 weeks.
And I said
know.
this when he pulled up lame on the non-contact injury, and then it turns out, all right, Achilles was intact. I'm like, the Milwaukee Bucks aren't bringing him back unless he is 150% healthy.
For sure.
Like, there's no, they're not going to push it at all. But it is going to be fascinating if he does get back to see, again, Dame can play at the high level, and then you insert Giannis, and then that's the thing that we thought last summer, which is, how do you defend that? How do you defend that high pick and roll if they're both playing at a playoff level?
If they're both playing at a playoff level, and just the fact that you got to pick Dame up out there at the logo, even if Giannis kind of floats in that, that top of the key area because Dame is going to extend the defense out to near half court, and he's able to kind of get some action going downhill from the top of the key. That's like plenty room, I think, for Giannis to be able to operate, where in past years you just pack the defense in below that top of the key area and make Giannis have to work in traffic possession after possession, which isn't really an efficient way to go out and win basketball games. But with Dame stretching the floor the way that he does, I think Giannis just finds spots that are open on the floor because spacing is going to be far greater than he's ever had the luxury of having probably throughout his career. But he's so dominant that he still figured out a way to win a championship even without having a guy like Dame to stretch the floor.
All right, let's do a little first-round overreaction. We have not even seen a road team win.
Yeah, playoffs haven't started yet.
But we still have a show to do, so we're going to do some we're going to do some overreaction. Panic button, right? I'm going to throw out a couple of teams, and I hit the panic button, hand hovering the panic button, or no need to panic. Phoenix Suns.
Hit the panic button.
Hit the panic button for the Phoenix Suns.
That Anthony Edwards boy.
So it's more Anthony Edwards than maybe. Well, I think it's a combination. Brenden brings it up all the time because he knows all about the math part of it. That second apron is they could be a pain in the in the hindquarters, if you know what I'm saying.
For sure.
And the Suns went all in. Anthony Edwards dropped 33 on them in game one. Other than Durant, Suns looked a little bit out of sorts. So you say Suns, a little bit of a panic button here.
Because I think the problem is the Suns, and this was the problem I feel like last year, This is the reason why they won in the first round and then they lose to the Nuggets. The Suns, with all of the star power that the Suns have, in order for them to win a series, regardless of who it's against, they need to have the best player on the floor throughout the course of that series. And I think Booker started off hot last year in the first round and played that way. And he even played well in the second round. But guess what? You had to play against Joker, who was the best player in that series. And if the Suns allow Anthony Edwards, who is starting off as the best player in the series so far and has had the best season of all of the stars that are playing in that series, if they allow him to be the best player throughout the course of this series, they're not going to win. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to is KD, Booker, or even Bill, one of y'all got to hit takeover mode, like straight up, because Anthony Edwards has been the guy all year long. He was an MVP caliber player this season, far more than anybody else on that Suns team, even with the star power. And as long as he's the best player on the court, which he's been all season long, so it's hard to say that probably won't happen, especially after that great game one. I think the Suns got to hit the panic button.
All right. We saw the chaos last night in New York. Sixers now down 2-0. Embiid does not look healthy, especially towards the end of that game. Time to panic for the 76ers?
Not quite, because he doesn't look healthy. I don't think you have as much to lose as you have in past years with Embiid there, obviously, because he's an MVP caliber player, and had he not gotten hurt, probably would have won it again this year the way he was playing up until the injury. But I think that's a rare occasion where it's like, okay, you lose a heartbreaker and you get to come home. You still got Maxey, and Embiid is still available, and they don't have Julius Randle. I think that you can, of course, you got to win game 3, because if you go down 0-3, then it's just not going to happen. We've never seen a team come back from that.
If they lose game 3,
it's over.
You don't even play.
Yeah,
Embiid. He doesn't play.
Agreed. But I believe they're going to win game 3. And then once you win game 3, rolling that over into a game 4 in Philly against a team without Julius Randle, a Knicks team without Julius Randle, I don't think you hit the panic button yet.
This one's going to be fun. Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Dallas Mavericks from a couple of different reasons. Is it kind of make or break with the Kyrie Luka experiment? We saw what happened last year.
Yeah.
They shut it down early, kind of put all their chips into the center for this year. They get the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, and they're not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. Time to panic for the
I think it's time to panic for the Dallas Mavericks. But I don't think it's as much because of how good or bad the Mavericks are. I think the biggest threat to the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference is the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm high on them. Saw them a couple times this season, and they are really good.
You said earlier, because it's the playoffs.
Yes.
Right? There's no load management in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, anybody that is out is probably hurt. Kawhi Leonard still.
Yeah, he's
it's
a wild
one
card.
Where, like,
he's a wild card.
Thank you.
He's a wild card.
Because I would agree
card.
with you for almost every player in the NBA, and they go like, Kawhi Leonard's like, yeah, my knee's not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm out. It's game 1 of round 1.
He's a wild card.
Not going to happen.
He's a wild card, that guy.
But, and I mentioned this. I mentioned this on Monday, because you kind of forget about. I forgot how good Paul George was at basketball.
Oh, he's great.
I forgot. Like, we watched a lot of Blazers in the regular season. We talk a lot about tanking and all that stuff. And then I was like, I've turned into the playoffs. I'm like, that's right. Paul George can still get buckets.
Paul George is the best player on that team, but I think even more so, I think people forget how good James Harden is at basketball too, because of all the drama that he's been through in the last few years, obviously with Philly, prior to that with Brooklyn, and prior to that, he was winning MVPs and scoring titles. He just couldn't beat the Warriors, who was like the greatest team ever assembled in those deep, playoff runs. Of course, he had some other pretty bad losses that Spurs lost in the playoffs. Like, we could talk about all that, but in terms of like being an elite level player, like, he's an MVP caliber player that now does not have to live up to that. He could just play freely almost, and like just be himself. And what comes from that is still going to be really good. And I think it helps them because you do have the dynamic of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who are both wings, who which kind of limits you in some cases when it comes to like the flow of the offense, especially in today's game. Being able to have Harden at point guard, I think, makes a world of difference for the Clippers.
All right, let's go back to the Mavericks. I brought this up yesterday on the show, and I don't know. Maybe, guys, the dynamic on the court, and I don't know any X's and O's when it comes to basketball, but I read body language pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel like I read vibes pretty well. And
Got
when
it.
I'm looking at it's about an 11-point game in the fourth quarter, and I see Luka, and I understand, look, he's an MVP finalist. Luka is. He's one of the best players in the NBA right now, and the Mavericks made it clear when they shipped Porzingis off years ago that this team runs through Luka.
For sure.
But I'm watching in the fourth quarter of a playoff game where they're down, and I see Luka waving off Kyrie Irving. Nope, to the corner. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't either. He's a little bit too talented to wave
That's
off.
what, because all the basketball people tell me or say on the internet that physical ability to play basketball or skills to play basketball, Kyrie might be the best in the league.
For sure.
I don't know that, but I know a lot of people say, like,
For sure.
just in terms of fundamentals and basketball skill, handles, shooting, all that. He might, and to see Luka just going like, nah, get to the corner. I was like, I don't see how that's going to work.
Yeah, I think Kyrie does have to, I guess, humble himself a little bit. Not saying that he's not humble. I think I actually want to give Kyrie credit for what he's been able to do this year in comparison to recent seasons where there's been like just a lot of drama around his name. But I'm talking about purely from a basketball standpoint. Like, if Kyrie doesn't understand that that's Luka Doncic's team, then yeah, break it up. Like, if that's going to be the argument, like, Luka's far younger than Kyrie. Luka is still an MVP caliber player. Luka's got more size than Kyrie, and Luka has point guard skills along with that. Like, if Kyrie can't figure that piece out, then I think he needs to peace out.
Isn't that the hardest thing to do in basketball, though? I understand strategy.
When you're wired a certain way, for sure.
Yeah, to get somebody who, whether it's Kyrie, whether it's James Harden, whether it's Dame, when you honest, like, to say, like, and to admit, I'm not the best player on the court.
Yeah.
My entire life, I've been the best player on the
For
court.
sure.
My entire life. Or if I wasn't, I definitely was going to play like I was. That's got to be, like, the hardest part.
It is a tough part. I think that's a hard part for a man.
Yeah.
Just to figure out that your game is declining in either way, shape, or form, especially as an athlete in particular at any level. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do think that is the hardest part. But that's the part that you got to overcome, is that this isn't quite your team, Kyrie. This is Luka's team. And if you don't fall into that, then you'll fall out of the playoffs. That's for darn sure. So they better figure it out and figure it out fast.
All right, quickly, we got about 90 seconds. Thunder. They won. You get the win. Winners get sprinkles. We don't apologize for winning. CJ got a real good look. Almost took him out in game one at home.
Should have went in.
I think the knock on the Thunder is, like, they're the number one seed, but the playoff experience isn't quite there.
Yeah.
But you get the win.
Get the win. Don't apologize for it.
And then just move on to game two. No worries there?
Yeah, no worries. I'm not worried about them. Especially because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And obviously we watched Jamal Murray last night, and I think, history tells you that mid-range is a staple in postseason play. When the game slows down, being able to have that in-between game becomes that much more important because it just makes you more difficult to guard. And I think Shai has that as good as anybody.
All right. Brenden, do I need to do a DeBella right here? Or not? Or do we need to go producing on the air? All right. Tell the people about DeBella. They're talking about Oregon's roofing, siding, windows, and bath experts because they're proud sport of Operation Homefront. And while spring is in full bloom right now, and a lot of people might, after that tax bill came due a couple of weeks ago, might be looking at their budgets and might be wondering, what? How do I buy a new roof? Well, go solar. Because if you put solar shingles on your roof, you could potentially pay for your roof with savings to your energy bill plus federal and state incentives the entire time. You don't have to make a payment until 2025. That's right. That's their financing opportunity. No payments until 2025 on approved credit. And I'm not telling you how great DeBella is. DeBella isn't telling you how great they are. 15,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google is telling you how good DeBella is. Plus, they've been featured on HGTV, better homes and garden. So contact DeBella today for a free, no-obligation, convenient appointment for roofing, windows, siding, bath renovations. Upgrade your home and become more energy efficient. Save money on your utility bills with DeBella, a proud supporter of Operation Homefront. All right, time to wrap up the big show. We do that the same way each and every day with the RCM mailbag. But on Tuesdays, when our good friend Devon Pouncey joins us live in studio, we resurrect one of our favorite segments from the old show, which is Ebony and Ivory, which is a conversation about cultures and the different cultures that both Devon and myself come from. And it comes from a place of curiosity and not a place of judgment, love and not hate. And we call it Ebony and Ivory. Here we go. My question to you isn't exactly cultural. I talked to Brenden about this. It's more generational.
Okay.
And you know that before you come in on Tuesdays that I have like a grumpy old man segment.
Yeah. Get off my lawn.
More and more things. You get it.
I do.
More and more things are starting to annoy me. And I went to a concert on Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm a live and let live guy.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't affect me. You want to put ketchup on your hot dog, that's fine. It doesn't affect my hot dog.
For sure.
But I do get irked by the amount of people that watch concerts through the lens of their phone. So my question to you is, do you film concerts? Brendan's a film concert guy. And like I said, this is more generational than cultural. Because I don't. I want to see the show that I paid to see, but I understand why some... So are you...
I might post something. I might film a short video or clip to acknowledge that I was there.
Yeah.
But no, I don't tend to like film concerts. I like to really like feel the energy in concerts and like be present ultimately. But I probably don't mind it that other people film concerts because I just know what times we're in right now. But for me personally, like I said, I might take a picture or a quick video and acknowledge that I'm at the concert.
You gotta let everybody know. You gotta let everybody know.
Yeah. But most people are on their phones for like majority of the concert rather than not. I don't really agree with that.
Because again, maybe it was more prominent because it was a general admission show.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this yesterday. Never doing that again. Your boy needs a seat.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, never doing that again. But yeah, like the phone's up in the air. It's like, all right, I know. But then, because I can't stop looking at people.
Yeah.
And I should probably be enjoying the concert instead of going like, what is that person doing?
Yeah.
The texting that's going on. Now, again, two things. A, in general, I am a terrible multitasker.
Yeah.
I will try to watch a game and also listen to Kelly, and then she'll go, what did I just say? And I'll be like,
yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
No? I'm terrible. And she gets a kick out of it. It's her fun game of like,
right.
Did you just say yeah? Like, you didn't hear what I said, did you? No, I didn't. But also, as Brenden, who is my connection to the youth, like, the kids can text and watch concert at the same time. I can't.
Yeah, it's all they know.
And I'm just looking. I know, and I'm just looking, and there is this girl who is standing next to me who's in full-on group chat at a concert, and I'm like, what are you doing? But it's probably more of a me thing.
Yeah, well, I think also it's like, well, I even see like comedians nowadays, like it was a cardinal sin to record your jokes back then, where it's like, now comedians are just becoming more aware that, you know what, somebody's going to record this joke in one way or another, unless you like have them like put their phone in like a Ziploc bag or whatever. But like now I do think content has kind of become king. And with that, people, you can view content all different kinds of ways. And because of that, like people are a lot less afraid to pull their phone out or be on their phone or whatever the case may be during a concert where, you know, and in past days, it was like, nah, put the phone away. Like you can get back to that conversation or that content or whatever else later, where it's like the content almost has become more important than the performance, which I don't like. That's the part I don't like, but that's kind of where we are now.
I also am a hypocrite I mentioned this earlier. I am a hypocrite because I've watched the Jamal Murray shot from like 14 different angles.
Yeah.
And 13 of them were phones.
Exactly. So
13 of them were phones.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, as a notorious TikToker, as I believe you are,
I am.
That's part of the reason why you're able to get your content all day. If my guy.
yeah, if they didn't let cell phones at concerts, I don't like.
Yeah, you'd miss a lot.
40% of my TikTok's gone.
Exactly.
It's just gone.
You would miss a lot. So,
all right, what do you got? You got one?
yeah, because I know you are an avid '90s hip hop guy. I mean,
Yes.
for those of you that, if you just listen to the instrumentals usually coming in to each of these segments, you could tell. I'm curious, because I don't know if I've asked you this before, but there was a reckoning in '90s hip hop, and that reckoning was none other than Eminem or Slim Shady,
Yes.
whatever it is you want to call it. For you, growing up in Winston, I always want to say Winston-Salem, but just Winston, Oregon.
Just Winston, baby.
That's where everyone's mind goes to.
Yeah,
Devon.
but
Well, it's
just
always
Winston, Oregon.
Because there is Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but then there's Winston, Oregon, and there's Salem, Oregon, and then there's
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets me. It stuffs
I
me a
got
little
you.
bit. I got to think about it. I got to process it a little bit. I got to
Yes.
compute it.
I got
Like
you.
Joker playing a game of basketball. But what did Eminem or Slim Shady or that reckoning when he just kind of absolutely shocked the hip-hop world mean to young Justin Myers growing up in Winston, Oregon?
Okay, case in point, or for context, I was, again, this is how old I was. I was freshman in college.
Got it.
When Eminem came out. And I was in 6th grade when Vanilla Ice came out.
Got it.
Right? And I
Yeah.
thought Vanilla Ice was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I was 12, okay?
Yeah.
I was 12, but I thought Vanilla Ice was it.
Got
and
it.
then Eminem came out, and it was like, whoa, this is another white rapper. And then, again, this is early internet. The thing about Eminem was Dr. Dre was in the video.
Yeah.
And there's like, that's credibility. Like,
That's
so
yeah.
that year, I'm 19 years old,
Okay.
on my own for the first time,
Yeah.
partying a little bit too much.
For sure.
Napster gave us everything for free.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I got swallowed up by the Eminem thing. Everything.
You were all in.
So here's what I will say. In the 40 seconds we have left in the show, Pounce, yes, I had bleach blonde dyed hair. I did it. I had the.
You got a picture?
I don't know. I was also fat back then, so I tried to get rid of as many of those pictures as possible.
Weren't quite in the CrossFit yet, huh?
Not even close. Not even close. But I did. I had the platinum dyed hair.
Yeah.
I had the double earrings. A lot of Abercrombie.
Frickin' Slim Shady.
Real big D-bag your boy was. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks to Devon Pouncey. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday. We're back at it tomorrow morning here on 620 Rip City Radio.